What caused the First World War? Otherwise known as the Great War, not as in really good, but as in size. It was also referred to as the war to end all wars because they thought there was no way after the devastation and loss of life of this war that there would be another of its size. They were sadly mistaken. The Great War, or World War I, took place between 1914 and 1918. What caused millions of humans to take up arms against each other by 1914? Arms as in weapon. So the easiest way to remember the causes of World War I is to remember the acronym MAIN: militarism, alliances, imperialism, nationalism. Militarism is believing in a strong military and preparing for possible war. So Industrial Revolution meant that they were able to manufacture all these new weapons, this new technology. So the weapons also that they were now able to create had the ability to kill on a massive scale. As these weapons are being developed, people are scared that the countries around them are also developing these weapons. So they're building them up and building them up. Germany in particular was very organized in a way that promoted militarism. So other nations, out of fear, were building up their armies as well. So there's tension, there's mistrust, and you can see the comic. It's not safe enough yet. We have to keep making more, more, more. Alliances are agreements between two countries to help each other out. And the alliance system before World War I, you had your Triple Entente, your Triple Alliance, and your Balkans, and they're overlapping. So you have countries that are making deals with each other and making deals with countries that have a different kind of deal with the country that they originally made the deal with. So it gets pretty confusing. And there's a lot of secret alliances that are set up, and that creates mistrust among nations. An attack on one nation is an attack on all. Who did it? And you can see it's like, who did it? They did, they did, they did. If you, and you hear it's, if you make a move, if you hit that little feller, if you strike my friend, and you can see that it's just making for more and more and more conflict. All right, imperialism. Please do not tell me you need a refresher on the definition of imperialism. Okay, fine. Very simply put, it's a country taking control of another country. And of course, that is the unit that we just finished. How did it cause World War I? Well, and you can probably see how these things overlap. You have countries, again, it's that competition and the economic rivalries that are making this increased tension between nations as they're going around the world and taking over and building up their colonies. There's a map of 1900. You, of course, we have looked really closely at what happened to Africa during the age of imperialism. So nationalism. Nationalism is extreme pride in your country, but it's also a belief that your country is better than other countries. So you can see, what do you think this means over the edge of the cliff? How was nationalism a cause of World War I? Nationalism created tension and competition between the European countries. You had nationalist groups in Serbia that wanted Austro-Hungary, which doesn't exist anymore, but was a huge empire at this time. They want them out of the Balkans, which refers to this group of countries that Serbia is a part of. This is very important to what actually causes the war to begin. So France wants this land, Alsace-Lorraine, back that they lost to Germany in a previous war, the Franco-Prussian War in 1871. So where are the Balkans? So if you look at where the sort of darker green is, that area, Serbia, Bulgaria, Greece, Albania, Romania, is the region that was referred to as the Balkans. And again, Europe doesn't look like this now, but you can see, the German Empire was much bigger. There is no Austria-Hungary now. There is an Austria and Hungary. All right. So then what was the spark that started the war after all?
Most would say World War I started with a gunshot. But there's a lot more to the story. This is Leopold Loika. He was born on September 17, 1886, in the old Bohemian village of Telch. Originally a horse wrangler, Leopold moved on to real horsepower when he became Archduke Franz Ferdinand's chauffeur in 1909. Archduke Ferdinand was first in line to the Austro-Hungarian throne, then occupied by Emperor Franz Joseph I. But serving as emperor wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Austria-Hungary wasn't exactly the most popular European country at the time. 1908. The Austro-Hungarian Empire annexes Bosnia. This ticks off Bosnian nationalists, who wanted to unify all southern Slavic countries under one government. Tensions are still high in 1914 when Archduke Ferdinand decides to visit Bosnia. If there were any place where Ferdinand were to get got, Sarajevo, Bosnia's capital, would be it. Despite this, Ferdinand decides to drive around Sarajevo with the top down in his limousine. Leopold Loika is driving when, out of the corner of his eye, he spots a small bomb hurtling towards the Archduke and his wife. He slams on the gas and the bomb misses its target. The bomb was thrown by Nedeljko Čebrinović, a member of the young Serbian nationalist movement. There are a few injuries, but Ferdinand and his wife are unharmed. After gathering their bearings, Leopold drives on to a scheduled meet and greet between the Archduke and local officials. The officials want to take the Archduke on a tour of the city, but Ferdinand instead decides he wants to visit the wounded victims from the bomb attack. He gets back into the car with his wife and has Leopold drive off to the hospital. In all fairness to Leopold, he didn't know the exact route. No map, no GPS. He made a mistake and turned onto the wrong street. Unfortunately for Leopold and the rest of Europe, this was the street where Gavrilo Princip, one of the co-conspirators of the earlier assassination attempt, happened to be having a drink. Princip can't believe his luck. He has an opportunity to finish out what he started earlier that day. As the crowd tries to subdue Princip, the Archduke and his wife are left bleeding in the car. One bullet struck the Archduke in the neck, the other his wife in the stomach. Both die within the hour. In response to the assassination of the heir to its crown, Austria-Hungary seeks support from Germany. Germany agrees, and Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. Russia, Serbia's ally, mobilizes its forces, and as a result, Germany declares war on Russia. Russia's ally, France, then mobilizes its forces, which causes Germany to declare war on France. In turn, Great Britain declares war on Germany. Austria-Hungary then declares war on Russia, Serbia declares war on Germany, and France and Great Britain declare war on Austria-Hungary. The First World War has begun, and all because of a wrong turn.
The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austria-Hungary throne, and his wife by the Black Hand, which was a Serbian group, was the spark. There you can see a Washington Times headline: Serb student assassinates Archduke and his Duchess. Bomb hurled into carriage fails to explode. Uses pistol. Gigantic murder plot is feared. So who is this assassin? Gavrilo Princip. His actions would change the world forever. There is footage, you saw footage in the video of him getting arrested, and that is the gun. There he is on trial. There is his jail cell where he eventually died of tuberculosis. Here is the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. That is his car and his coat, now preserved in a museum. There they are, him and his wife in their caskets, their funeral. Okay, so on your sheet, what you want to do is type in on the left side the definition of each of the causes. So define militarism, define alliances, define imperialism, and define nationalism. And then explain, in 3 out of 4, you'll explain how they are a cause of the war. So how was militarism a cause? Here's what it means. Now, how did it cause World War I specifically? Okay. In alliances, you're just going to type in the Triple Alliance countries and the Triple Entente